Hello, friends. This is your host, Victus. This is Beyond the Shadows podcast. And if you're here, I appreciate it. And if you could take the time to just hit the like or follow or subscribe button, it would help this show out tremendously. We have no sponsors. We have no ad revenue. We only run ads based on the platform we're streaming on currently. But for us, we have no budget. We have no money coming in. So every single thing that you guys do to help this podcast helps me personally. I do all this by myself. And if I could get you to take just a minute out of your day to hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe button, it would help us out tremendously. We're doing whatever we can to increase our exposure out here. And if you could take your time out of your day to do that for us, it would be very grateful. It would help us continue doing what we do and creating the best content possible. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the show.
A creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. Horrible. Looked like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Beyond the shadows.
It's the dead of night in Ohio, 1955. A quiet road winds along the Little Miami River, headlights slicing through the thick fog. The world feels empty, silent, until movement breaks the stillness. Something is there, standing in the beam of light. Not a deer, not a man, a creature, upright, large, with the body of a frog and the eyes of something far older. Witnesses say it raised a wand-like object, sparks flying in the dark, before vanishing into the shadows of the trees. Tonight, we step into the mystery, unraveling the legend of the Loveland Frogman, Ohio's strangest cryptid. Welcome, friends, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, welcome so much. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad everyone's here tonight. Things are looking nice. Things are looking good. The stream is nice and steady. This is season 2, episode 35 of Beyond the Shadows podcast, where we cover the spooky, the strange, the mysterious, the weird, the cryptoids, the aliens, the ghosties, and anything in between. Welcome, welcome. Tonight we're covering a cryptid. We've got something wild, something absolutely wild. I say this every week, I know, but we got something wild tonight. We're covering the Loveland Frogman, a totally obscure cryptid. I'm looking forward to this one because it's strange. It's really strange, but it's going to be fun. I have no idea. I have no doubt that we're going to have fun doing this tonight. For those of you who watch regularly, if you haven't noticed, the background's changing a little bit. We get some reorganization going on here in the studio. Stand by for more changes. That's all I'm going to say. It'll be subtle, but we're going to do it a little bit at a time. Just trying to get a little bit more of a professional vibe going on. We do have a new element tonight. We got the smoke machine. Yes, a freaking smoke machine. A smoky smoke machine. It's here underneath the desk, and let's fire this thing off. Let's get it smoky in here. Yes, here it comes. Here comes the smoke. Tonight and throughout spooky season, we are going to have it set up, and anytime we get a new follower and or a new sub, we're going to run the smoke machine. It's smoky in here. It's very smoky in here. Oh my gosh. Maybe if this takes off, we'll keep it around for a little bit. So we'll see what happens. We'll see. Nothing set in stone yet. But we got the smoke machine going. We got it. No new subscribers this week that I know of. Got no notifications. So thank you to the random person on YouTube that followed. Didn't catch your name because it did not give me your name. We had fun last week. Let's see, what did we talk about last week? We talked about the Dawdleston messages. It was a little obscure. We went with high strangeness last week as opposed to a traditional cryptid or UFO or something of the sort. We're working on new assets for season 3 are starting. We got working on a new theme song, working on a new intro video. We're really catering to the world of the sci-fis. So the actual intention here is going to be reproducing the X-Files intro, but we're going to do it with all new elements and only from the podcast. So it's going to be like a scene for scene remake of the X-Files intro, but just with a different song. And instead of it being about the X-Files, it's going to be about Beyond the Shadows podcast. So I'm looking forward to it. I've already started working on it. It's going to be a lot of work, but I think it's going to be fun in the end. Working on getting things organized. I'm starting to collate some data. Things are looking good here. And welcome as always, everybody. If you're new to the show, welcome in. This is Beyond the Shadows podcast. We talk about the strange, the spooky, anything in between. Anything. If you've got a story that you want to hear us talk about, a recommendation for the show, we'll talk about it. Shoot us an email at beyondshadowspodcast@gmail.com and we'll read your email. We'll discuss your subject, or if you've got a story or something that happened to you, feel free to reach out. beyondshadowspodcast@gmail.com. Anything you send in, we'll talk about it. We're not scared about it. So, that being said, there we go. I said it already. Which brings us to our next segment, and that is This Week in Paranormal News. So we're just going to wait for a little music to fade here. And let's get on to This Week in Paranormal News. This week's news in paranormal coverage continues to the recent death of paranormal investigator Dan Rivera, the release of The Conjuring Last Rites, and expansion of West Virginia's Paranormal Trail. Cause of death revealed, and Adams County coroner has determined that Dan Rivera, a paranormal investigator who was touring with the Annabelle doll, died of cardiac-related natural causes. The film dedication, the final film of the Conjuring franchise, The Conjuring Last Rites, which hit theaters in early September, includes a tribute to Rivera in the end credits. In the Annabelle doll controversy, Rivera's death in July initially sparked intense speculation regarding the Annabelle doll though the coroner has released an official cause of death. Rumors surrounding the alleged haunted relic and the circumstances of the tour have persisted. I need to get this cable out of my way. It's directly in my line of sight. I'd spent a little time gaming last night, and my cables are moved. Yes. West Virginia Paranormal Trail expands. New destinations due to popularity of its inaugural year. The West Virginia Department of Tourism has relaunched its Paranormal Trail with 4 new destinations for 2025. The trail features real-life locations known for their paranormal activity. The trail highlights the tour features sites like the Mothman Museum and the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. New prizes are being offered for participants who visit eerie destinations. New paranormal entertainment, the British comedy series Daisy May and Charlie Cooper, stars of the BBC mockumentary This Country, are set to host a new paranormal reality series. The show will feature the pair spending the night locked inside of some of the UK's spookiest places, including historic castles and Victorian prisons. Haunted, the Heartlight Paranormal Files, a new paranormal investigation series, premiered in August of 2025. The series features Ellen Reeves and former colleague of Ed and Lorraine Warren. Local haunting and events. Wisconsin Paranormal Presentation. A paranormal expert is scheduled to give a free presentation in Manitowoc, Wisconsin on September 18, 4 days from now, to discuss some of the state's most bizarre haunted locations. And lastly, NYC haunted restaurants. The Economic Times highlighted some of the most haunted bars and restaurants in New York City, which can be visited by the public. And that wraps up this week's News in Paranormal. So if you like what you hear, shoot us a comment, shoot us an email, beyondshadowspodcast@gmail.com, or comment down below in the description of this show, be it on YouTube, Spotify, what have you. Shoot us a comment. Let me know if you like the News and Paranormal segment. If you do, we'll keep it up. If you don't, we'll probably keep it up anyway until enough people complain. But that's our News and Paranormal. And we've come to our next segment. Our next segment, which is going to be short and sweet today, because I'm trying to just get straight to it. I'm trying not to lose anybody. What shirt are you wearing today? What shirt? What shirt, indeed. What shirt are you wearing today? Today, I'm wearing a Goonie shirt. Goonies. Goonie Goo Goo. Yeah. Get the Goonie shirt on. Throwback to anybody who, like me, grew up watching that on VHS. Wore that tape out. Wore it out. It was the mystery. It was more about the travel than it was about the storyline for me. I love the fact that these kids just did their own thing. It was a staple of mine growing up. It really meant a lot to me growing up, and Goonies were great. I got a comment on it today, just wearing it. Yeah, so we're just having fun, doing our thing. My hair looks like shit tonight. But that brings us to our episode for the day. Yes, tonight we are talking about a cryptid indeed. A cryptid from Ohio. And before you dismiss, I know the title's a little weird. The Loveland Frogland, or the Loveland Frogman, excuse me. The Loveland Frogman. Before you dismiss it, it's not your average cup of joe here, folks. We're going to have some fun with this, but we're going to try to keep it in the realm of full disclosure and have fun doing it. This one's a little weird. I'm not gonna lie. We do got some pictures. Let me make sure I got those pulled up. There's not many pictures, but we do have a few. Let me make sure I got the right ones here pulled up. I wonder, is that a video? Oh no. It's just a clippy clip of some videos. But again, let me get this picture pulled up, make sure that we got it, and it looks good. Open image and new tab. Yes, we do have some artist interpretations. Yes, I see artist interpretations. We've got lots of Ohio swag that have to deal with the frogman. The frogman. But it looks cool. It looks good. Let's we'll keep everybody on their toes. We'll talk about this more when we get to it. But we'll have some fun with it. We'll have some fun. All right, let's make sure sound levels are just right. Let's get in it, folks. Let's get in it. Wait, I don't have where Act 1 starts marked. Alright, I think I know where we need to be. Let's do it, let's go. Tonight we're talking about Ohio's very own cryptid, the Loveland Frogman. And this is Act 1. Act 1, everybody. Act 1. Let's rewind to May of 1955. Eisenhower was president, Elvis was climbing the charts, and somewhere in Ohio, a traveling salesman was about to have a close encounter of the amphibian kind. The man, whose name remains anonymous, possibly because he didn't want to be laughed at, was driving through Loveland, Ohio, late at night. Windows down, probably humming a Sinatra tune or yelling at a dashboard that didn't have a Bluetooth connection. It was just before 1 a.m., and he spotted something strange up ahead. Under the Loveland Bridge, three somethings actually, standing on two legs, like your Uncle Gary at a cookout after too many Mai Tais, were three humanoid frog creatures, each between 3 and 4 feet tall, glistening like they'd been basted in Vicks Vapor Rub and bad decisions. Their eyes were wide, their mouths stretched into something that looked like a smile, or a threat, or gas. It's hard to say with frogs. Now, at this point, any rational person might stop the car and question reality. But not this guy. He slowed down, and he stared. And that's when things went from weird to, you're going to need a priest, a net, and a therapist after this. One of the frogmen raised a rod described as a, quote, metal wand, and it began emitting sparks. Not like a flashlight, not like a taser, more like a kind of wand you would get if Gandalf worked part-time at Radio Shack. The witness didn't stick around to ask questions, he floored it, probably screamed something like, nope, nope, big slimy nope, and left the 3 electrified frogs behind, no doubt confused, possibly insulted. So now let's unpack this. 3 humanoid frogs just vibing under a bridge at 1 a.m. and one of them armed with what amounts to a tactical glow stick. Either this was the weirdest bachelor party in cryptid history or someone forgot to close the dimensional portal behind them. And that wand, what was it supposed to be? A weapon? A tool? A Bluetooth-controlled swamp vape? Nobody knows. What we do know is that it was sparking, it was glowing, and it added about 15 years to that businessman's therapy bill. And let's talk about that sparking rod description. Do you know what else sparks and glows? Bad wiring and toxic relationships. We're not saying this frog was trying to start something, but it definitely was charged up. So what did this guy really see? A group of pranksters in wetsuits? Sure, if pranksters in 1955 had access to Hollywood-level amphibian costumes and electrically based special effects. Or was it an escaped zoo experiment? Maybe. But unless the Cincinnati Zoo was testing wizard frogs of mass destruction, that seemed unlikely. Or was it a sentient hallucination caused by gas station chili dogs and repressed emotions? Honestly, most probable. But let's face it, whether it was a prank, a cryptid, or 3 very determined performance artists, this event set the stage for something bigger. The Loveland Frogman had made his entrance, complete with magic wand and ominous stare, and the fashion sense of a wet sock. 17 years later, the frogman would show up again, but this time, he got shot at. Because nothing says American cryptid experience like a frog with a wand getting capped by a cop with a revolver, right? Yeah. Yeah. That's just about right, anyway. I mean, cops do what they want to do. Let's move forward to Act 1 was a little short, not gonna lie. That was Act 1 already. Geez. We've only been at it 20 minutes. I've already burned through Act 1. Let's see if we can find this on the map somewhere. That is something I hadn't thought to do. Loveland, Ohio. Let's see if Loveland, Ohio has anything about the Frogman. Alright. So here's Loveland, Ohio. Oh, Something called the Beast? What is that? Oh, it's a giant roller coaster. Sweet. Cool. Yeah, that thing's a beast. Wow, I love wooden roller coasters. They are my favorite. They are my favorite. Anyway, here's Loveland. Where's the bridge that they were talking about? There's the Little Miami River. It must be this bridge right here. Let's see. What do we got? We got the Frogman Inn. We got Frogman Mobile Detailing. I'm not seeing anything like specifically mentioning the Frogman. I'm assuming this is the bridge from the story. Let's just see what happens when we search for frog in this area. What do we get? Frog in Loveland, Ohio. No? Okay, cool. Well, that's promising, at least. We're not seeing anything that's like sticking out as this is our local place, this is what we do, this is precisely what you know, because look here, check that out. So this place is coffee. Has to do with they do a lot of frog related stuff, it looks like. Okay, cool. I mean, still not seeing like a whole bunch of stuff that just sticks out like this is cryptid related. It's usually what we get. It's usually what we get. Whereas this isn't really, you know, this town isn't really showing us, hey, we're very, very focused and heavily reliant upon what happens with tourism, according to the Frogman. So this is important to check, and here's the reason why. Because we deal with so I'm from Virginia. I live here in Virginia. The Mothman is the big one here. Everybody knows the Mothman, and if you go to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where Mothman's from, the whole town is like branded Mothman this, Mothman that. The town is making money off of the Mothman. And this is usually something you would look at if you're dealing with a hoax. Because somebody's trying to make money off of it. And that's why we look at these things. That's the first question we always ask ourselves. Who's making money off of this? Who's making money? Apparently, nobody's making money off of this one tonight. A couple of coffee shops, but nobody really I mean, even still, the coffee shop's not really like calling themselves the Frogman Cafe or anything. So let's move on to Act 2. Act 2, everybody. Act 2. It's now March 3rd of 1972. 17 years have passed since Ohio's most magically inclined frog trio threw sparks under a bridge and deeded themselves into legend. The public had moved on, concerned with more pressing things like disco, gasoline prices, and why polyester existed. But in the sleepy town of Loveland, the Frogman wasn't done. Because on this cool March evening, the Loveland Frogman would return. And he would make one hell of a re-entrance by getting involved in a high-speed chase, almost being arrested, and eventually dodging a bullet from a police officer's gun like he was in The Matrix. If Keanu Reeves had gills and webbed, like as if he were Keanu Reeves, but had gills and webbed feet. Right? So around 1 a.m., Officer Ray Shockey was driving along Riverside Road, just south of the Loveland city limits. The fog was thick. The fog was thick? Wait, we can do that effect. Wait for it. Yeah, let's get that up here. Get it up here. The fog was thick. This shit's not toxic. The fog was thick. The air smelled like wet moss and disappointment and smoke machine fog juice. Shockey was minding his own business, probably hoping to catch a drunk driver or a really enthusiastic raccoon, but then something ran across the road. Shockey slammed the brakes. He stared. And there it was, a creature standing on two legs, roughly 3 to 4 feet tall, with leathery, lizard-like skin, and eyes that said, "I haven't slept since Eisenhower was in office." Wait, no, I should do the voice changer on that. And eyes that said, "I haven't slept since Eisenhower was in office." The creature climbed the guardrail and disappeared into the riverbank below. Shockey sat there, trying to decide whether he should, 1, radio for backup, 2, start drinking, 3, enroll in frog therapy, or 4, all of the above. He picked option A and filed a report with his superior officer. Because every good cop knows nothing builds trust with the precinct like saying I saw a 4-foot-tall frog and it gave me the side-eye. Enter Officer Mark Matthews, who brought a gun to a frog fight. A few weeks later, it happened again. This time, Officer Mark Matthews, patrolling the same area, suddenly he spotted something crouched on the road. He slowed down. The creature stood up. It turned its head towards him, and Matthews, a trained law enforcement professional, did what any rational man would do when faced with a mysterious humanoid swamp creature. He pulled out his revolver and shot it. But because when Ohio says protect and serve, it also means shoot the cryptid and ask questions never. According to Matthews, the bullet hit the creature. It made a sound, some say a screech, others say the moist slap of regret, and the creature jumped to the guardrail and limped off into the night. So what was it? Now let's pause, because this is the part of the story where the logic gets thrown out the window. Handcuffed and read its Miranda rights. Officer Matthew later claimed, years later, that what he shot wasn't a frogman at all, but a tailless iguana that someone had abandoned. You heard that right? A tailless iguana. Yeah. I know, right? Because apparently the only thing that separates Mutant River Frogman from a forgotten pet store discount bin is the presence of a tail. So let's break that down. It was walking on 2 legs. It was over 3 feet tall. It looked Matthews in the eyes, and his first instinct was to shoot. But that's not how you deal with lizards. That's how you deal with Bond villains and exes who still have your Netflix login. Also, if that was an iguana, it must have been juicing at the reptile gym because we'd never see one pull off a crouch rise and dodge bullet combo. Either Matthews' revised report sounded suspiciously like a man trying to walk back a frog-based mistake. You see, Chief, I shot a big old lizard. No, I don't have the body. No, there's no blood. But trust me, it wasn't magic. It was just missing a tail. Right. And Bigfoot is just a tall Canadian with a hair problem. Mm-hmm. So let's review what we have here. 2 separate trained officers on 2 separate nights. Both saw the creature clearly. One of them filed an official report. The other fired his weapon at it. But no one found a body, no blood, no footprints, no "sorry I left my tail behind" letter. You'd think that with all this, the town would erupt into chaos, but no. Loveland just kind of shrugged and went back to bowling it and making chili, which in its own way is terrifying. But because what's worse than a frogman running wild? A town that knows about it and doesn't care anymore. That's the small town horror, the Midwestern apathy turned to 11. So let's summarize. A frogman may or may not have been tasering the air with the spark wand in 1955. In 1972, he returned only to be profiled, pursued, and shot by Ohio's finest. Then, after being labeled as an iguana with identity issues, he vanished into the fog once more. Because when it comes to the Loveland Frogman, you can't shoot the legend. You can shoot the legend, but you can't kill the myth. So that brings us to the end of Act 2. The end of Act 2. We're going to take a quick little break here. Oh, don't go anywhere, folks. All 0 people watching. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, we've returned here. Just a quick little break here. I had to scroll down the script and check some things out. Just didn't want you to have to sit here looking at my mug while I read ahead a little bit. Just making sure we aren't just blowing through this. Geez, we're already page 9 of 20. That's close to halfway through, and we're only 30 minutes through. So let's look at our pictures of the frogman. Let's look at our artist's interpretation of the frogman here. Okay, this is not fantastic. And for those of you listening at home or not able to pull your phone out and see what's going on the screen, looks to me like a frog, a large frog, walking on its hind legs. I guess that's it. That's really it. Jeez, it's just a big frog. I don't know what else to tell you. So whoever drew this just shows, definitely a bipedal frog walking up on its hind legs. Its little four little strong hands are much larger. It's got little biceptoids here. This guy's got some muscles going on. But they definitely drew it like he's pretty tall. They drew it standing next to a fence, and the fence is only knee high on this guy. So 3 to 4 feet, I don't see it. It looks more like 6 feet by this artist's interpretation. Apparently this was drawn by one of the witnesses. I couldn't say precisely who drew it. Still interesting. We do have a photo, an alleged photo of the actual thing taken. I don't know if I want to show you that right now or not. You know what? We're just gonna press forward, and if the photo thing comes up, I'll show you the photo. If not, we'll see it towards the end. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. That was the end of Act 2, everybody. End of Act 2. So now we're going to move forward into Act 3, where we're trying to debunk the undebunkable here. Act 3, everybody. Act 3. So here we are. Two frogman sightings, 17 years apart. One involves a spark wand-wielding amphibian performing late-night interpretive dance. The other ends in gunfire and a shameful reclassification as a bald lizard. Naturally, the question on everyone's mind is, what the hell did they actually see? Because unless Ohio is a secret frogman breeding program tucked between Bob Evans and a tire fire, we need some kind of explanation. So let's break down the theories. Theory number 1. Escaped iguana. Also known as the Reptile Witness Protection Program defense. As you may remember from our last act, Officer Mark Matthews tried to pull a fast one on the public years later by claiming that what he shot at was not a 3 to 4 foot tall lizard man, but in fact a tailless iguana. Let's examine his claim like responsible cryptid scientists. Or at least like a guy in a basement with a whiteboard and a bucket of Mountain Dew. Matthews said the creature was 3 to 4 feet tall, walking upright, with textured leathery skin and a face. A face. Not a head that looked like a frog, but a face. I'd hate to break it to Officer Matthews, but iguanas don't do that. An iguana on 2 legs, that's not a lizard, that's Godzilla's unemployed cousin. Also, have you ever tried sneaking up on a full-grown police officer while walking like a toddler in a frog costume? Not proud of what I used to do. But we assume it would end in pepper spray, lawsuits, and a firm letter from the city. I can neither confirm nor deny that I've done this. The theory is basically the cryptid equivalent of yelling, "It was just the wind," as the walls bleed and your Ouija board starts asking you your questions. So theory number 2 is it's a hoax. Some skeptics believe the whole thing was an elaborate local prank, perhaps staged by costumed teens, disgruntled theater majors, or the one guy who peaked in high school and still refers to himself as the king of the 1954 science fair. The argument goes like this. Clearly someone made a frog costume, climbed under a bridge, and waited to ambush a passing driver for reasons? Question mark? Yes, the classic prank strategy. Spend 3 months building an amphibian cosplay, standing motionless under a bridge at 1 a.m. for days at a time, and hope a businessman with a vivid imagination shows up. Honestly, it's a lot of work for a town where the biggest tourist attraction is a canoe rental shack and a gas station that sells 3-day-old hot dogs. If it was a prank, the most dedicated, soggy, frog-based practical joke in American history, and we salute it. Theory number 3, which is my favorite. This one is for the ancient aliens crowd.
Ancient astronaut theorists propose.
Wait, can you hear that? Let me.
Ancient astronaut theorists propose.
Aliens.
I'm not saying it's space aliens, right? But it goes without saying it's fucking space aliens.
That's right. The alien visitor theory. This one is popular. This is the one that everybody kind of goes to. Some folks genuinely believe that the Loveland Frogman is not of this earth. That the spark-emitting wand wasn't magic at all, but technology, an alien tool beyond our comprehension. This theory asks us to imagine 1, a scouting party of extraterrestrial frog people. 2, making contact under a bridge in Ohio. And 3, only to get chased away by Officer Trigger Happy and the case of the missing tail. Which, if it's true, this means first contact with the space alien happened in Loveland, Ohio, and we shot it. Yeah. I know. Yeah, we dropped the ball on that one. That's right. Humanity's first real shot at an interstellar diplomacy was ruined by a cop with a 38 and trust issues. And if that doesn't sum up our entire species in one moment, I don't know what does. So theory number 4 is folklore tulpas, and it's not your fault you believe too hard. Here's where things get spicy. Some cryptozoologists believe that the frogman is a tulpa. A tulpa is a concept in mysticism, a creature or entity created by belief alone. You think it hard enough, dream about it, obsess over it, and boom, it manifests, like Freddy Krueger, but moist. And not in a fun way. So maybe the people who love them whispered about the frog creature for years. Maybe the local kids made up stories. Maybe this guy lost his toad and told people that he grew up, got a job, and maybe, just maybe, the collective thought became something real. But if that's true, then humanity accidentally invented a magic frog wizard with a taser stick, and now we have to live with that. So the tulpas are not an uncommon theory. Tulpas were a subject that we breached pretty heavily. Hold on, I actually have a reference sheet here now. Jeez. I think it was season 1 where we talked about the Skinwalker Ranch. No, it was not season 1. It was season 2. So earlier in season 2, episode 20, we talked about the Skinwalker Ranch. And tulpas were a very prevalent concept when it came to the Skinwalker Ranch. And it was mainly because Skinwalker Ranch, we were dealing with visible entities that were seen, physically seen, by many people, by video, photography, groups of people, groups of police officers, but left no physical evidence behind. And this is where the idea of a tulpa comes in. That these people believed that the Skinwalker Ranch was so heavily infected with paranormal activity that they believe, some people believe, which we talked about it, go back and listen to it, season 2, episode 20, that they believed so heavily in what was happening in Skinwalker Ranch that they physically manifested what happened there based on the fact that they truly believed it was there. This is a textbook definition of what a tulpa is. And I find this one a little hard to believe, but it's not super far-fetched. So from 1955 to 1970s, we got like 20 years. What was it, 72, 73, something like that, with the second and third sightings were. We've got 20 years of lore here, but only one sighting starting in 1955. And I have a hard time believing that the local lore was so profound and the one sighting was so groundbreaking and earth-shattering for that town that it forced an entire town to obsess over it for 20 years and then made it manifest for 2 police officers to see, of all people. But on the flip side of that coin, it's a little far-fetched, sure. However, we do have a sighting by 2 very, very reliable people, police officers. But the fact that there was no physical evidence left behind does lend some credibility to the concept of a tulpa. You see what I mean? There's a parallel here between the Frogman, the tulpa, and the Skinwalker Ranch. Lots of visible evidence from a distance, but when you get up and see the area firsthand, there's no physical evidence, no footprints, no trail of slime left behind, whatever. No wet footprints on the pavement. This guy climbed a guardrail, was shot at, jumped back, climbed the guardrail again, and jumped back over. But there was no physical evidence, no wet footprints, no slimy handprints or toe marks on the guardrail when he climbed over whatsoever. So, tulpa, not so far-fetched. Not so far-fetched. So other wild theories are, and these are pretty far-fetched, not gonna lie. Genetic mutation caused by toxic river runoff. Definitely far-fetched. In the grand scheme of things, we've never seen anything outside of a fish with an extra fin or two heads or two sets of eyes, something like that, due to waste in water. Genetic mutations just don't really happen like that. Not really. Let me look it up. Genetic mutation. Caused by radiation? Sure. Oh, I don't want humans. Animal genetic mutation caused by radiation. Oh, cool. Yeah, we do actually have a lot of evidence of frogs. We've got frogs changing colors, frogs growing extra legs. We have animals with weird fur patterns, weird bone structures. We have cows with two mouths. Fish with frog legs. You know, that one's kind of prominent, indeed. You know, now that I think about it, I do recall seeing a fish with frog legs somewhere. However, we do see a lot of genetic mutations with frogs. You know, legs and feet in strange places. Two-headed turtles, two-headed frogs, three or four legs on one side, legs on the back. There's a fish with three eyes and rows of calcium-like teeth like human. That's interesting. That is absolutely horrifying, too. Yeah. Yeah, just generally, when it comes to genetic mutations, because of radiation, we see a lot of horrible things. You know, like one arm, two legs, but instead of it being a linear body, they're set in like a triangle shape. A head, an arm, a leg, a little stub of an arm. They don't usually look pretty. It would take a very, very specific set of circumstances to go from frog to 4-foot-tall, muscular frog walking on two legs. Just saying. We've got a lot of study behind this because of Chernobyl. Thank you very much. And, you know, honestly, we're not getting mutations like you would think in Chernobyl. So another one of the wild theories is a secret government experiment gone wrong. We have no evidence to back this one up. It is generally a go-to when it comes to cryptid sightings. When you can't fully explain something, then you're kind of stuck with what else you can grab. You're grasping at straws, trying to make up your own mind about what you think is really going on. And lastly, we have a guy in a frog suit protesting high gas prices. Actually, I just made that up. So, but still, it's more believable than the iguana with no tail walking on hind legs, right? Right? Wait, laughter? Yeah. Yeah. That's right. So now we've come to the end of Act 3. But we may never know the truth behind the Loveland Frogman, but the minute you try to explain it, you just make it weirder. Whether it's a cryptid, a hoax, a radioactive iguana, or a swamp lizard on a bender, one thing's for sure, the frog refuses to croak. Which brings us to the end of Act 3. Act 3, everybody. End of Act 3. And I'm going to drink the rest of this beer quickly. Helly ho. So now we're going to move on to Act 4. I know, we're getting close to the end. We're getting really close to the end already. This one might be short. Okay, this one is going to be short today. We don't have anybody watching anyway, so it's fine. Still doing my best to bring you what I can. Yeah, let's move on. Act 4, everybody. Act 4. So it's been over 60 years since a frogman with a spark stick strutted under a bridge like he owned the place. And half a century since Officer Matthews pulled a gun on an alleged lizard that probably just wanted directions to the nearest fly bar. Okay, hold on. Oh, hold on. I need like 2 minutes. Maybe 3. Hold on. Okay, I've returned. Sorry, I had to make some modifications to the script right quick. Right, let's cut out the jokey stuff. It's kind of taken away from the story here a little bit. Let's dive in. Let's get deep and nitty gritty on this. I owe you guys that. I owe you that. Let me open this beer. Yeah. Beer time. Beer 30. So we've come to Act 4, everybody. The Loveland Frogman from Legend to Legacy. Act 4, everybody. Act 4. The Loveland Frogman may have first appeared in 1955 and again in 1972, but the story did not disappear into obscurity. Over time, the legend has evolved, not simply surviving through oral tradition, but adapting to modern cultural currents. As we move into the present day, the frogman has taken on a new role. Once a mysterious and frightening anomaly seen under the cover of night by shocked witnesses, it has now become something altogether different. A figure of fascination, tourism, and internet folklore and community identity. In the decades since the original sightings in Loveland, Ohio, Loveland, Ohio has quietly embraced the creature that bears its name. Today, the frogman exists not just in the memories of those who claim to have seen it, but in artistic renditions, online forums, social media discussions, and the occasional modern report that suggests he or it never truly left the swamps. Over the years, the town of Loveland has slowly shifted from treating the frogman as an odd piece of local folklore and integrating it to cultural identity. It now appears on t-shirts, local brewery brandings, stickers, and even in official town events. Unlike some cryptids whose legends are treated as cautionary tales or dismissed entirely, the frogman has become kind of an unofficial mascot, a creature not feared but celebrated. One of the most significant cultural landmarks in the city is the modern legacy of the Loveland Frogman came in 2014 when a group of University of Cincinnati students created a stage musical titled Hot Damn! It's the Loveland Frogman. The performance was tongue-in-cheek, certainly, but the musical production represented something more important, an integral transmission of the myth, or an intergenerational transmission of the myth. Younger people who were not alive during the original sightings were now repurposing that story, engaging with it through humor, music, and stagecraft. The Loveland Frogman had transitioned from anomaly to archetype. The shift mirrors the trajectory of other cryptids such as Mothman or the Jersey Devil figures that once provoked fear and panic but later became symbols of community heritage and speculative curiosity. But Loveland's case is different. The cryptid didn't allege to have injured or terrorized anyone. There were no accounts of people disappearing. The Frogman story contains no violence and no overt threat, only sightings and only questions. So now we come to something very interesting. The digital age sightings, the 2016 Pokemon Go report. Yeah, I promise you, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. This is actually a legit thing in the research here, okay? On August 3rd, 2016, a young man named Sam Jacobs reignited the legend when he and his girlfriend reported seeing a giant frog near Lake Isabella. Lake Isabella, let's see where that is. I want to see where that is. Loveland, Ohio. Where's Lake Isabella here? What is this? Okay, here it is, Lake Isabella. Okay. We're just a little south of where we were earlier. Now, according to Jacobs, the creature was approximately 4 feet tall and appeared to stand on its hind legs. The event occurred at night during a time when Jacobs and his girlfriend were playing the augmented reality game Pokemon Go. Okay, so this is a thing. My wife and I played Pokemon Go for a little while when we were new here to the Eastern Shore. For those of you who don't know, if you've been living under a rock for the last 20 years, 10 years, Pokemon Go is an augmented reality game where you physically walk around and catch Pokemon. It's a thing. Check it, Google it, check it out. Kind of fun game. If you're into Pokemon, check it out. Jacobs claimed that the creature emerged from the water briefly, stared at them, and then disappeared into the lake. He captured a short video, as is often the case. Oh my goodness.
My wife and I played Pokemon Go too. We found a Dragonite in the Tenerife Islands on our honeymoon.
Welcome, Raiders. Welcome, everybody. Raiders. I was not expecting Raiders. Ollie Makes, how's it going? What was everybody doing? What were you doing over there, Ollie? What were y'all doing?
Hey there, Ollie Raid.
Ollie Raid, how is it going, everybody? What were y'all doing over there on y'all channel? Persona 3, oh my gosh. I remember playing the first one. That's the last one I played. Shame on me. I haven't touched any of the others, but I played the first one many years ago. But welcome in, Raiders. I'm glad everyone's here. For those of you who are new, thank you for being here. This is Beyond the Shadows podcast. We talk about the weird, the spooky, the strange, the unnatural. And this very evening, we're talking about Loveland, Ohio's own cryptid.
Ads, hang on.
Ads. Boo, ads. Stupid ads. Ads always get you. Jeez. Cheesy. I hate ads. Well, we got a raid. Hold on. We'll fire up the smoke machine for that.
Respect the cycle of transformation as the tadpole becomes the frog. Thou shalt leap toward joy, mischief, and wonder, for the frog spirit fears not the leap of faith. And thou shalt gather in community, as frogs gather in chorus, never leaving another unheard. Grassman Bible.
Okay, that was deep. That was deep. Okay. Yeah, that was nice. That was very nice. I feel like I've heard that somewhere before. Maybe? Huh?
You have not read my book yet, I gather.
No, I'm sorry. I have not. It was a very busy week this week at work. I did not. No, I am sorry. But hey, look here, we're gonna fire up the smoke machine for the Raiders. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah. Here it comes. Smoke machine for the Raiders. So for those of you new to the podcast, hello. I will listen to this week. Smoke for the Raiders, everybody.
Let's go.
Let's go, everybody. Spooky season is upon us. Yes, tonight we are talking about the Loveland Frogman. Loveland, Ohio's very own cryptid, and we're getting into the nitty-gritty, and we're about to actually pull up photo evidence of the Loveland Frogman. This ties into back in 2016 when a young man was out with his girlfriend late at night playing Pokemon Go, of all things. And he got a video. It was horrible video. But we have a still from the video. Y'all ready to see this photo of this frogman? I've been waiting. I have been waiting. Here we go, folks. This is real photo evidence. Oh no, the redemptions. I'm so sorry. Yes. I'll give you your points back for the redemption. I am sorry. Let's go to the photo first, and we'll talk about the redemptions. This is our Loveland Frogman, folks. This is he. This is he. That's, that looks pretty good.
It's NP.
That looks pretty good. As far as paranormal evidence goes, that's pretty good. So, we've talked about photos like this before in the past. It's really difficult to fake the eye flare. Really, really difficult. It's a nocturnal animal thing. It generally only appears in nature.
Is it smiling?
let's see. It's either smiling or that's a really creative shadow. It might be smiling. it might be smiling. You know, we'll take it. It might be a smile. I'll take it. Yeah, yeah. But this is pretty good. This is good. I do have a pretty strong background with some photo editing, photo manipulation. Many years of photography, professional and freelance. It's a good photo. This has got got great hallmarks of undoctored photography. Specifically, look at this here down at the bottom underneath, whereas the flare from the eyes is reflecting on the water. It's a little suspicious. Okay. Just gonna say, it's a good attention to detail. However, when you catch the flare from a nocturnal animal's eyes, it's only because the way the camera picks up the light reflection from the eyes. It doesn't necessarily reflect onto the water unless it's a true light source, which is a little suspicious to me. Yeah. Not gonna lie. You'll get the eye flare in the camera, but you wouldn't get it down here. This is a little weird. But...
They would have to be glowing.
Yeah, exactly. They would have to be glowing. But it's still a pretty cool photo. Pretty cool photo indeed. The original sighting was in 1955, and so for some kids to come up with a video, and this be the best frame out of the entire video, in 2016, hey, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot. It's one of the better ones out there. Oh, geez, bright screen. Where was I at? There we go. Yeah, so the potato my
idea of a photo of a frogman man.
Yeah, if it is a fake, it's pretty good. Someone puts a work into it. But I will say, I will return your points to you, good sir. The potato my redemption, I should have turned it off. I disabled it at one end, but not the other. I'm sorry. That was the redemption that played a little video of my cat, and we lost her about 6 months ago. And I have not had the heart to turn that redemption back on.
It'll be harder to detect fake photos.
Exactly. Yes, I agree with you. This is the big thing. Okay, hear me out. So, when we first started this podcast, we did a thing every month called the Rapid Fire episodes. And in the Rapid Fire episodes, we would pull photos and videos from social media, and we would try to discuss whether these were real paranormal happenings or not. We'd spend a whole 2 hours every month, one episode a month, talking about this. And this isn't a part of the show that we actually cut out because it became so difficult to discern AI photos and videos from reality. So difficult that we had to cut a whole segment out of the show. But, you know, let's go back and look at that photo. So this is... See the grain here? This is old school digital photography grain. If this were edited by AI, this would be smoother. Where the frogman is, this would be much smoother. You wouldn't have the nippling, the texturing here. This is the way the old digital cameras used to pick up in low light.
As a great philosopher once said, reality schmalarity.
Reality schmeality, yeah. So looking at this photo with my somewhat limited expertise, I don't see feathering here.
I think the main issue with this is the reflection through the eyes in the water.
Precisely, yes. We should see if I can find this video. I'd like to see if I can find this video. I would like to see the entire video. Loveland Frogman video.
light reflecting off the retina, it wouldn't reflect in the water.
Precisely, yeah. Oh, okay, okay. This makes sense. So what we're seeing here, let me go back to the image. This is somebody using low light filtering on an older digital video. It's a still from a video. Y'all want to see the video? It's not as impressive. Check this bad boy out.
Yeah, show video.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not sold on this one. That's a costume. That's a costume.
Could it be lights on a rock?
Okay, so there is a shape there. There is a...
2T lights.
Yeah, there's... On my screen, I could see...
It's not moving.
Yeah, I could... Yeah, I paused it.
Doesn't look like the same angle, but what I get from this is that he actually does have glowing eyes.
Yeah, it's... Yeah, you definitely see the reflection on the water here. That's disheartening. In just the right frame, you could see just the shadow. I've got a damn studio light in my face.
What is it, Gollum?
It's... I don't think this is real. I really don't. Looking at... Yeah, he must have been like super zoomed in. You know how shaky hands can get. Kudos to whoever recovered this full color
No,
image.
I think T's fake.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is real, guys. It's got to be like a kid playing in the dark or something. It's a homie in the water playing in a frog suit. Negative. I'll spray some smoke on that one. Negative. That's a negative. That's a big
Shame,
fat
really,
negative.
'cause it's a good monster idea.
Yeah, somebody put some work into it, and it's a shame that it didn't get much further. Geez, yeah, I really wanted it to, I really wanted that thing to... I'm sorry. Yeah, we picked it all the way apart. That thing's not real. It's not real, friends. But cool, it was a good effort, right? A hand clap for the kids who made that happen, because that was good. They got people rattled. It really did. Let's get back into what they were doing playing Pokemon Go.
GG on effort.
Facts. So, the kid claimed that the creature emerged from the water, briefly stared at them, then disappeared into the lake. He captured a short video, though, as often in the case in modern cryptid footage. The clip is blurry and inconclusive. Nonetheless, the sighting gained local media attention and circulated widely online. Skeptics quickly dismissed the sighting as either a prank or a case of mistaken identity, pointing to the game's immersion and a tendency to distract player from their surroundings. But those familiar with the Frogman's history, the event was chillingly consistent with both location and description. Once again, a bipedal amphibian, standing upright, seemingly intelligent, was reported near water in Loveland. It was the first major sighting of the 21st century, and it happened not in isolation, but in a digital world where stories could be shared instantly and globally. In an ironic twist, the Pokemon Go incident arguably introduced the Loveland Frogman to a wider audience than any previous report in history. So, cool. They're bringing about, the lore is gaining traction in a digital age. Awesome. But this was definitely a fake. This was some kids playing in the water. This instance was a fake. But, y'all weren't here for the beginning. So the first sighting was in 1955. It was spotted by a traveling salesman going over the bridge, not a short distance from where this video was taken. He saw the frog in the water. It scared the hell out of him, and he ran away. The second and third sightings were just short of 20 years later, in the 70s. Two police officers, first an officer by himself was passing over the bridge. He saw the frogman in the water, shined a light on it, and it went under the water. But he saw enough of it to see that he was bipedal. He was standing 3 to 4 feet tall. And a day later, a second officer in town at the same location saw the frogman standing on the bridge, shined a light at it, popped 2 shots at this guy, shot him in the ass, and it limped over the guardrail, jumped in the water, and was never seen again. 1972 is when it was. So from 1972 to 2016, where we had our Pokemon Go sighting, pretty good little jump. So we've moved on to Act 5, also named as In the Stillness of the Swamp. We're coming down to a conclusion here. We're going to make up our minds about what we think the Loveland Frogman really is. But let's crack Act 5, everybody. This is Act 5, The Stillness in the Swamp. Time has passed. The 1955 encounter with the spark wand creature. Oh, I forgot to mention that. In 1955, the original salesman sighting, there was 3 of the frogs, 3 of the frogmen, and one of them had a wand that when he approached, the wand shot sparks and lit up. And that's what scared the traveling salesman away. So we have a really fantastical original sighting of this thing back in 1955, which really kind of sparked the original idea that the frogman was an alien.
Ready for the slaughter, the frogman is quite cute. Just a homie in the water wearing his frog suit. I'm not here to steal your daughter, please, sir. Please don't shoot.
Yeah, it's a shame that, the knee-jerk reaction of the police officer, get ready for your social commentary here, but it sucks that, a police officer saw something he didn't understand, and his first reaction was to shoot it. Yeah, it's sad country sometimes, but that's the way it rolls. So the encounter in 1955 with the spark wand creature under the Loveland Bridge is now 70 years behind us. The 1972 police sighting and shooting are over half a century old, and the 2016 Lake Isabella sighting is nearly a decade past, and yet here we are, still discussing a creature whose existence has never been proven, whose physical evidence is non-existent, and whose mystery remains untouched by time. There are no bones, no photography that holds up to scrutiny, no DNA, and yet the Loveland Frogman endures. It's worth pausing to reflect on why. Many legends fade. Urban myths lose their potency. Paranormal stories vanish as new generations replace old ones. But the Frogman story has somehow resisted that erosion. It hasn't just survived, it has adapted. And that adaptation tells us something critical about the human condition. We are not always driven by proof. Sometimes we are driven by presence, by the sense that something is out there, something just beyond our reach. And the Loveland Frogman sits exactly at that intersection between belief and doubt, between the rational and the uncanny. When we examine these stories, not just the sightings, but the cultural impact, the community the adoption, the folklore, the art they inspire, we're not just investigating a creature, we're observing how legends grow roots in places where the soil is ready to receive them. Loveland, Ohio wasn't looking for a monster, it wasn't seeking fame. However, to date, we know that they are seeking fame with this Loveland Frogman. When something unusual appeared along its quiet riverbanks, it became a mirror for the town's imagination. So what makes this case unique among cryptid lore is not the violence of the creature, nor its repeated appearance, but the fact that those who encountered it were reluctant believers. Officer Ray Shockey, who gave his account in 1972, was not a conspiracy theorist. He was a career law enforcement officer who provided his statement in plain, straightforward terms. He described what he saw, not what he believed. Officer Mark Matthews would later attempt to walk back his involvement, claiming that the creature was nothing more than a tailless iguana. But that reversal has always felt incomplete. The original reports, clear, unambiguous, and rooted in law enforcement documentation, carried a weight that speculative hindsight cannot erase. So yes, the officer that shot at the Loveland Frogman, 3 years later, walked back his initial report and said, no, it wasn't a 3 to 4 foot tall frogman creature. It was a tailless iguana. Yeah. I mean, it's the state of the nation. Let's change our story to shape, the narrative we want. And then there is the original 1955 account, the spark-wielding creature. The three beings standing under a bridge.
Tailless iguana is kinda of a badass name for a metal band.
Tailless iguana, that's right, yeah. When I was in high school, let me take you way, way back when I was in high school. This is where the screen gets wavy, and you see me as I am now, just with no beard. Back when I was in high school, a friend of mine and I, we were in a band. We were called the Last Two Fish. It was an amazing time of my life. I loved playing music. It was great. But we had this game that we would play where we would drink beers and drive on the back roads. This is in Arkansas, so nobody cared. Drink some beers, drive the back roads, get silly. But our game was we would come up with metal bands. And to this day, the two best metal names for a band that we can come up with was the Lopsided Oreos and the One Ton Slugs. That was one band. The Lopsided Oreo and the One Ton Slugs. And Kamikaze Spoons. Yes, that's right. Thank you. Those are the two best metal names I can come up with. Tailless Iguana is way better, honestly. We always joked that we were going to come up with a band, and we were going to name ourselves the One Ton Oreo and the Lopsided Oreo and the One Ton Slugs. But it never came to fruition. We got older, and priorities change. Sadly. Yeah, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. No pun intended. So then there is the 1955 account, the spark-wielding creature, the three beings standing under a bridge, their posture, their coordination, their awareness. No names were ever released of the salesman, no physical evidence was left behind, but the witness description has remained unchanged for nearly 70 years. He saw something. He remembered what he saw, and the story was too strange, too specific to easily dismiss. So what are we left with then? It's not a solved mystery, nor a hoax neatly put to rest. What we're left with is a living narrative, a story that continues to ripple outward, its meaning expanding over time. Perhaps that's the true nature of the Loveland Frogman, not a monster, but a phenomenon, a collection of intersecting memories, fears, and desires drawn together into a shape that demands to be remembered. It's no longer just a sighting, it's a symbol of mystery, of wonder, and the possibility that the world is not as known as we think. So now we've come to the part of our episode where we're going to come to a conclusion of what we think the Loveland Frogman really is. So I'm going to drop my my breaking news music for our decision. I hope you're ready. So we're looking at 4 sightings, if you count the Pokemon Go kids. The original sighting in 1955, traveling salesman sees 3 bipedal amphibians, giant frogs, standing under a bridge, and as he approaches, one waves a wand that shoots sparks and lights at him. Freaks him out, and he just tells somebody and leaves. Second sighting is a police officer. He sees it. It dashes into the water. Third sighting is another police officer at the same location. The next night, the officer sees it, opens fire, and flees over a guardrail into the water. Not seen again. until 2016, where our fourth sighting happens, where two kids at a nearby lake see, while playing Pokemon Go, a suspicious set of glowing eyes that I think we can all agree that that is not real. But whatever, we're gonna go with it. We're gonna roll with it. Based on this information, we have no physical evidence. We have one photo, which is a still from a grainy video. I don't think we're dealing with something physical here. Something had to initiate the initial sighting in 1955. I don't know what that is. Two police officers have nothing to gain by saying that they saw something. Absolutely nothing. That's something to think about here. And the fact that one of them walked back his story years later and said that it wasn't a 3 to 4 foot tall frogman, it was a tailless iguana. Suspicious, yes. Very sus. Sound off in chat what you guys think it is. I'd like to hear everybody else's ideas, what they think is really going on here. So we're dealing with 4 sightings. Probably 3. The 4th one is probably a hoax. But we have no physical evidence. I do believe that the evidence we have tonight points to, wait for it, a tulpa. Yes, a tulpa. This is the only thing I can come up with is it's a tulpa. For those of you who don't know, a tulpa is this is something we dealt with earlier in season 2 when we were talking, or earlier this season 2. I think it was episode 20 when we were talking about the Skinwalker Ranch. That the Skinwalker Ranch has so much history behind it that people want to see something, and so they see something. And it manifests itself strictly by the fact that such a large group of people are feeding energy into it and manifest it. So I believe that something was seen originally in 1955, and it was so earth-shattering to that town that it entered the zeitgeist of that town. And over the years, that energy of people wanting to see something else manifested something in 1970s, and that's what the 2 officers saw. That's why we have no physical evidence. That's why this thing jumped in the water, left no footprints. That's why the second sighting of the police officer, he shot it. It climbed over a guardrail, left no slimy frog handprints on the guardrail, left no splash, no footprints, no evidence physically whatsoever, despite physically being seen by the police officer. All signs point to a tulpa, and this is exactly what we're dealing with. Let me give you a very specific definition of what a tulpa is, so you do not misunderstand. A tulpa is an imagined or conceptual being created by visualization and meditation. A practice known as tulpamancy in Tibetan mysticism is thought to be created through sustained mental discipline. In the modern internet subculture, it is often development as a companion to alleviate loneliness as part of a fictional narrative. So when you want something bad enough, you will manifest it. And I think that's what we're dealing with here. We're not seeing any real physical evidence to say that there's a 3 to 4 foot tall frogman running around Loveland, Ohio. I think that the town of Loveland, Ohio wanted to see something so badly for 20 years after the initial sighting in 1955, which I cannot explain, that it eventually manifested itself in the 1970s to 2 police officers. Because let's put it this way. If you want there to be another sighting of a cryptid in your town, and you could think of 2 people, the most credible people to witness that cryptid, it would be police officers. right? So it's another check of the box for Atulpa, because these people manifested just by sheer will of wanting it to be seen. They subconsciously picked the two best people to witness the cryptid, and it manifested for them. And that's why those two police officers saw the strange being in 1975. And, maybe this kid, there was, what year was it? There was like the 90s, I think it was. There was a group at the college in Ohio. One of the colleges in Ohio did a musical about the Frogman. So who's to say one of those kids in 2016 wasn't related to somebody who was in that production of the musical, caught wind of it, and was like, hey, let's just make this happen. Let's be internet famous, right? It was 2016. That's what we did. So we know that the sighting in 2016 was probably hoaxed. I'm going to say that the two sightings in the 1970s were manifested through energy like a tulpa. However, I have an even stranger theory for the original sighting in 1955. I don't think the original sighting in 1955 was the tulpa, because at the time there was no previous sightings, so no energy could be manifested towards it. I believe the original 1955 sighting was, wait for it, aliens. Aliens. It was aliens. Gotta be aliens. It's the only thing that makes sense. I think the original 1955 sightings, it might have been a misidentification, what have you. We had something strange happen in 1955. 3, amphibian aliens are not unheard of. We could go back many years, and the idea of amphibians as extraterrestrials is prevalent from the 70s. Prevalent. I think our best understanding is the original sightings in 1955. The 3 4-foot tall frog people, the one with the sparking wand, was, in my opinion, aliens. Extraterrestrials.
I'm not saying it's space aliens, right? But it goes without saying it's fucking space aliens.
Ancient astronaut theorists proposed.
Yes, we are dealing with extraterrestrials for the original 1955 sighting. So, in 1950s, we had what was called a UFO flap. We talked about this a few episodes back. Flap. So a flap is specifically catering to extraterrestrials. A flap is, a year or two in a specific region where there's an enormous amount of sightings. And so in 1955, in the central United States, the southern United States, we had a big UFO extraterrestrial flap. An abundant number of UFO and extraterrestrial sightings in the 1950s. Case in point, Roswell, New Mexico. This was, the pin, the linchpin in the flap in the 1950s. So who's to say something didn't happen to bring this flap of extraterrestrials and UFOs to central United States? Who's to say that, maybe these amphibians they're seeing weren't amphibians at all? Let's look at the idea of alien grays. So when you think of an alien gray, you see smooth skin, large eyes. Well, check this out. Let me find this artist's interpretation. Hold on. Could you not say that this looks extraterrestrial? Could you not say gray skin with large eyes? Could you not? Is that so far-fetched? Could this not be a scared individual in 1955, not knowing what he's seen, morph this image into what you see as the traditional gray alien? It's not so far-fetched. Large head, large eyes, pale skin. You with me? You with me? It's not so far-fetched. So if somebody were scared, catches a glance of it, takes off running, you know, when you see things in the dark, your brain just fills in the blanks. Who's to say he saw it in the water, didn't know what it was? So far-fetched? I think not. I think what we're dealing with here, the original sighting was extraterrestrial in origin. And our second and third sightings by the police officers were not extraterrestrial, but in fact, tulpas, manifested energy from the town wanting to see the cryptid again. And the fourth sighting of the two kids playing Pokemon Go was a hoax, trying to keep the story alive. So this is a unique case. I don't think this is one, we're not looking at one specific type of paranormal entity here. You know, the original story is definitely, I think, in my opinion, extraterrestrial in origin. Then we go into something spiritual like a tulpa in the 70s, and the last is just kids. Just kids being kids. And that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So I'm curious what everybody else had to say about that. I'm really curious. Indeed. I know it's a lot to take in. It really is. It's a lot. I know. I like to ramble. I'm very big into rambling. I rambled tonight, folks. This was definitely a strange case. As strange as it comes, this is not as weird as last week's episode where we talked about the ghost in the machine, the Dottleston messages. Very weird case. Last week's case was just absolutely wild, and I'm really surprised that more people didn't latch on to that one. When I first heard about the Dottleston messages, I thought it was the most interesting case I've heard of in a very long time. Very well researched, lots of great evidence put together. Unlike this one was kind of loosey-goosey. Haven't had a lot of viewers lately, so we haven't. I really didn't put a lot into the research this week, but you know, that's the way it goes. I'm trying to pull up Twitch right now. Hold on. Come on, Twitch, let's go. We've come to the end, folks. We've come to the end. And Entropy, if you do you have your is your book fully read out, or is it a full audio book? Because I don't have time to like read a book, but I do listen to a lot of audiobooks. I would be very interested in if you have a full audiobook. It'll give me something to listen to while I'm working this week. Okay, I don't think Entropy's listening anymore. That's fine. That's fine. Alright, well, I'll go back and see if I can't find the link you sent me from last week. Let's look and see if we've got anybody to raid tonight. Yeah. I think I do have somebody to raid. Yes, I do. We're gonna raid my buddy Heffies. My buddy Hef. Before we get going. What is this? Hold on. Okay. Before we leave tonight, I do have one closing statement to make. Let's get this fog rolling before we go. Before we do our closing statements, I do want to say, if you have a personal story that you want us to talk about here in the podcast, feel free to email us at beyondshadowspodcast@gmail.com. Give us your stories. Give us your personal opinions. Let us know if we're doing bad, we're doing good. Entry Cat, send me a link to that book. I'm going to read it. Again, if you have your own story and you want us to talk about it here on the podcast, email us at beyondshadowspodcast@gmail.com. You can find us everywhere. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, everywhere you think to look. We're going to hit this closing statement right quick. And we're going to get out of here. We're going to raid my buddy Heffies. And we'll catch y'all next week. We're going to find something spooky to talk about, probably something ghosty related, coming up on spooky season. But thank you, everybody, for coming in. Thank you, Raiders. Thank you, Entropy. Thank you, Ollie, for the raid. I really appreciate it. We get like 3 or 4 raids a year, so that really made my day. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. I appreciate every single one of you. So, when it comes to the Loveland Frogman, we live in a world not of this world. There are things we don't understand. Tulpas, extraterrestrials, hoaxing children, hiding in ponds, playing Pokemon Go. So if you find yourself in Loveland, Ohio, near the bridge, you can look over the edge. But be careful. You never know what you're going to see down there. And if you see a trail of strange footprints, don't follow it. But whatever you do, make sure you follow us. Beyond the Shadows. Good night, everybody. We're going to raid Hefner. Stick around. It's my buddy Hef. Hit this guy up. Give him a follow. I'll see y'all next week. Have a good night, everybody.
A creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. Horrible. Look like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Beyond the shadows.